then you have the options to up your percentage.
Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Indeed, one man against the world. Namaste to you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Glen Lal Show. And of course, my name is Joshua Van Slykeman. By my side, I've got the man of the moment, the publisher of the Kaieteur, Mr. Glen Lal, who will make his presentation this evening. And we want you to pay keen attention, invite you to like, comment, and share our live video that can be streamed on our social media pages. Without further ado, I hand things over to the man of the moment. Sir, namaste to you, and over to you.
One man against the world. It used to be two men against the world. It used to be me and Critic. Critic left me and go away. And he joined another man with the world. And he leave me alone. Namaste, Josh, and namaste to all you wonderful people. The COVID cases in Guyana is getting terrible. Yesterday, the government tested over 400 people. Today, they tested in excess of 700 people. You guys gotta be extremely careful. Keep your distance, watch where you go, and what you do when the day comes. It's extremely serious. And guys, let me say thanks a million for tuning in on this program. I was more than delighted or happy to say, because my viewership has gone crazy. On Facebook alone, my Monday night program had 30-something thousand viewers. And you don't want me to tell you across Guyana what kind of viewership I have. Just call around, ask around, and you will see. It's more than half of Guyana listening to my Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays program. I think the TikTok that I'm doing every day is kicking in and making a difference on the radio program and on the YouTube and all the social networking that the program goes on to. Can anybody tell us, Josh, how many barrels of oil ExxonMobil pump since 2019 to now? How much they pump, how much ship out? Huh?
No.
Well, brothers and sisters, auntie and uncle, I got a text from a citizen of the U.S. on Christmas Day asking me if I could please give him the quantity of barrels of oil Guyana pump, ExxonMobil pump from 2019 to now, because he would be sitting down with 3 congressmen and he does not want to be misleading. He wanted to be accurate. So he asked me to please give him that information. You know, when I read that message, Joshua, I wanted to cry for Guyana.
Yeah.
Because that information cannot be found nowhere.
Wow.
Not a single word you're hearing from anybody where you can find that information from. The fittest person, the vice president of this country, Jagdeo, he is heading the sector. And we cannot know on to this day how much oil being pumped up on a daily basis as to what was pumped from 2019 to now. No. So I could not tell the gentleman anything. I just said, brother, I'm so sorry and embarrassed that I just can't give you that figure. If I tell you, I'll be misleading you, and I do not want you to mislead anybody on that issue. It's shameful and sad. You have a business with someone and you knows nothing about the business transaction. So let's move on with tonight's issue. Our Vice President once again sat down with his usual sidekick, Critic, the clown, the day before Christmas, and went on like his usual self, abusing and cuss down people. I told you guys on Christmas Day, he did cuss me down. Critic asked him if he would ever TikTok Glen. Y'all listen for yourself. You got it there, Josh?
Yeah.
Yes, y'all listen for yourself what the Vice President of this country, the man who's heading this US $1 trillion oil sector, in the second fastest growing economy in the world, finding time to sit down and talk. And had it played back, Miss Harris, on state media, as if it was the most biggest thing that would ever happen to Guyana. You hear this? Glen Lal TikTok. He do not find time to tell this nation how much barrels of oil Exxon pump up. But he got find time to sit down with a man named Critic to talk about Glen Lal TikTok. Listen to him carefully. Could you guys play that tape?
When you say step up your PR, Vice President, can we? When you say step up your PR, Vice President, can we, in the future, expect you to start TikToking like Glen TikTok, Glen?
No, I'm not. I personally, I find it very distasteful that this guy would every day go on TikTok and routinely lie. And some asinine views pass off as serious analysis there. And my fear is that people will actually believe some of these things, not because they have any merit, but because of the preponderance of it bears down on you, the daily grind, it repeats it over and over and over again. Now, there's no scientific view, for example, that the oil and gas industry caused the fish to swim away from Guyana. And he's telling the fishermen that the fish swim away. Now, if we can prove that, that's great. But there's no scientific view of that. I grew up in a fishing village in Unity. There are periods when we've had low catch too. The guys would go out many, many times and didn't bring in much. And that was long before we were producing oil, since I was a young boy. But suddenly everything relates to oil and gas. Or he had again this thing about the Marriott. We've dispelled that the Marriott belongs to me or Ashni Singh or etc. The last government knew that the Marriott is 100% owned by Guyanese. It's one of the most profitable Marriotts in the world. He still continues with this nonsense. And how do you respond to a person who is almost a raving lunatic on a daily basis? How does a government respond to that without really demeaning itself or going down to that level? Unless you get a totally wild person just like he is to respond to those things, to deal with the nonsense that is dealt there, a totally wild person. Because if I were to go every day, how can I even address an analysis that is not an analysis? that has no basis in fact or figures or something. Man who says, oh, 1 month bonus we're an oil producer. We haven't even started getting much money from the oil and gas sector. We haven't used any money as yet. They think that the money is just falling from heaven and the streets of Guyana are paved with oil money, and that every Guyanese should stop working and we should all get a big paycheck every day. We have to work hard to change this country. How do you address that? And then people go there. So we cannot go. So we will not be TikToking, but we are hoping that putting out information, more people will read. But sometimes people like the familiar and the very anecdotal things in this country. And so maybe we're open to suggestions, but I think people who support the government also have to go to these web pages and point out the comment section. They should go and take on the nonsense there, not by being abusive, but just pointing out the facts and how stupid sometimes the views are. I know that are being portrayed, and then maybe
Jagdeo,
we'll have that balance.
As much as
But it's not just the TikTok. I mean, getting out more information to the public, being and taking on
how
some of the
stupid
people.
these views are. This Raven Lunatic. You guys heard him there, man. He said, no. I find it very distasteful that Glen Lal would go on TikTok every day and routinely lie and spread crazy opinions that passes off as serious analysis. He said, Uncle and Auntie, his fear is that people would actually believe some of the things I am saying. Not because they have any merit, but because of the amount of times I am saying it. Because I repeat over and over. Our Vice President said, there is no scientific basis for his example. No, sorry. He said there is no scientific basis, for example, that the oil and gas industry caused the fish to swim away from Guyana. If that is not the case, then Mr. Jagdeo must tell the nation what his scientific analysis for the drastic reduction of the fish catch in Guyana is all about. He should go tell the fishermen right across the country, and he should also tell the citizens why the fish price has doubled and tripled all of a sudden. But I will leave the fishermen to deal with this clown. I got better and bigger scientific questions for our Vice President tonight, in which I want you guys to listen to me very carefully. Before I get there, let me give you guys an update on the last TikTok I did yesterday with scientific analysis on the oil account funds. I told you guys how the Ali government rushed through a new oil law so quickly Wednesday night that before cockcrow Thursday morning, it done sign into law. They had no parliamentary or public debate on this bill. Was madness in Parliament, and the Speaker, Manzoor Nadir, just said, vote, and that was it. The President signed it, and it became law the next morning. Just before the law passed, Uncle and Auntie, President Ali and Ashley Singh went on a PR campaign telling this nation how the coalition oil law give Avenue Finance Minister Winston Jordan too much power to withdraw and spend the oil money. The coalition out of power and no access to the money. So let me ask The scientific question, uncle. You buy that crap for excuse? Huh? The oil law, the coalition put in place, uncle, was very clear. They had 3 sets of committee with independent, professional, religious, and qualified investment experts on every committee. The coalition also set clear rules and time frame to remove any individual from those committees, uncle, if they were found to be corrupt or not working in the best interests of the people of this country with their oil money. You hear how clear and comprehensive the coalition law was, uncle? Yes. Our law, the new law President Ali passed, gave his minister Ashley Singh more power than what both of them cost down the coalition government about. You hear me, Josh? Ali new law allows him to handpick any lagu bagu with no qualifications, experience, or business sense whatsoever on how to invest efficiently and manage oil money. And them call them board members. You're the kind of people to pick? Yeah, man. President Ali can pick uncle, a nephew, a cousin, anybody, and put them on the board for life, because his new oil law does not have a time limit. It doesn't have any rules or regulations to remove anyone off the board if you find them corrupt or if you find them thief in the oil money. Don't smile with me yet, uncle. Hear this. This is the sweetest part of Ali new oil law. The law says if Ashley Singh does not report accurately how much money go in and how much money come out the oil account, he can go to jail for the 3 to 10 years. You hear that? Only how much money go in and how much money come out, not how much money spent, where it spent, who it spent on, where it transfer, and who it transferred to. That information is not important for the public. We mustn't hear or we mustn't know about that. And that has no jail time. Am I very clear, Ms. Harris? Yes, thank you. President Ali only put jail time if Ashley Singh not tell away how much money gone in the account and come out the account. And that is scientific facts, Mr. Jagdeo. It's the new law. And honestly, I believe, I will go to my grave with it too, that you, Mr. Jagdeo, is the one who designed that law. Yes. In simple layman terms, uncle, Daddy tell his family he banked $2 million money in the family account. He banked $2 million Tuesday. He banked $3 million Wednesday. And on Thursday, he tell the family draw out $6 million. And he don't have to tell them what he's going to do with it. You hear me? He doesn't have to tell his family nothing whatsoever, how he spend it or who he give it to. That is how Guyana's new oil law is designed by Ali, Jagdeo, and Ashley Singh them. Am I clear, Joshua? Yes. Yes. That is the law they rushed through Wednesday night in 20 minutes, and before cockcrow Thursday morning, it was signed into law by President Ali. And on Friday morning, Joshua, you gotta hear this one. It was in the official Gazette of Guyana, with Ashley Singh's signature on the commencement order for them to start spending the oil money from Saturday morning. You hear me? Yes. New Year's morning. And that is scientific facts, Guyana. All y'all could go and see it in the official gazette. Online for yourself. Joshua, you have a copy?
It's on the screen.
Put it up on the screen, let them see it yourself. Sign past Wednesday night, sign Thursday morning, Friday gazette it, and already put in a commencement order to withdraw your oil money. Critic is one thing to sell your soul, is another thing to sell your flesh. Here's some more scientific facts, Mr. Jagdeo. The country where you went to take advice from, Ghana, them have a special law that anybody misuse, abuse or thief $1 single from them oil account, they can go to jail for the minimum of 15 years. Many other countries have similar penalties for safeguarding their country's oil money, Mr. Critic. Hear that? Did you, Mr. Jagdeo and Mr. Ashley Singh, deliberately leave out this part? Or y'all didn't take all the people's advice? Joshua, who you think? Which one? I tick-tock that, Mr. Jagdeo. But I ain't see no scientific rebuttal from you or that clown Critic. You care to play this on national television or the national radio station you're in charge of? I was so happy, Guyana. I was so happy when he raised the issue of the ownership of the Marriott Hotel. I was so happy when he called me a Raven Lunatic. Actually, it's a nice name. I wish I had it since I was a small kid too. He wants to know how we can address that analysis. That is not an analysis. That has no basis in facts or figures. You want to know what are the facts and figures of the Marriott Hotel? If your name is not included in the syndicated loan you guys took, that is being managed by Republic Bank Trinidad, then who is? Would you be kind enough, Mr. Jagdeo and Mr. Critic, as to give the facts and figures so that all Guyana knows for sure that you nor your friends are not involved? After all, it is our expensive oceanfront land the hotel sitting on. And the bulk of the money to build it come out of my pocket and every citizen of this country's pocket. But guess who profits, Guyana? The private investors. The private investors. Now, Mr. Jagdeo, why shouldn't the people know who you sneak in through the back door into the project? And that is facts, Critic. Or you're going to ask Jagdeo for the answer? Tell us, Mr. Jagdeo. The nation wants to know what financial analysis you did on the 200 million Skeldon plant that now sits as a white elephant in Berbice that carries interest on that loan. You care to tell us? Why you transfer the Skeldon loan from Gaisuku books to the nation's book? You care to answer that? What financial analysis you did and what facts and figures did you use to indebt this country with a GOODIE for life? Huh? What other financial analysis you did to spend 160 million American dollars and counting to renovate an airport when that money could have built 3 brand new international airports with class and sophistication in all 3 counties? What facts and figures you used, Mr. Jagdeo, when you said the investment will turn Guyana Airport into a hub for Africa and a gateway to South America? Who is hubbing who now, Mr. Jagdeo? You hubbing the Africans or the Africans hubbing you with this investment? Because the Chinese certainly hubbing all the citizens of Guyana with that loan to be repaid with fat interests. Isn't that facts, Mr. Jagdeo? Is how long now we repairing that airport again? Joshua, you remember? I think it's 8 years now. Yes. Azerbaijan build their airport, a brand new from scratch, in 8 months, and it costs $39.5 million US dollar. Yes, with 2 runway, not an extension of a runway, 2 brand new airport and a brand new tower. Yes. Google and see it. And that is scientific analysis based on facts and figures, Mr. Critic and Mr. Jagdeo. Mr. Jagdeo, tell the nation what financial analysis you did and what fact checking with figures you did when you sell out the 20% shares in GT&T that was bringing in a rate of return greater than any investment at the time in the world for Guyana. Bring us, show us that. And could you please, Mr. Jagdeo, tell us where the 5 million US out of the 30 million US you sell the 20% shares for, that is still owed to Guyana, where that is? And would you be kind enough to please tell this nation who you sold it to? Because Josh and Lynn, Joseph Harmon, never told us about the 5 million. He went to China to collect from the owners. He never tell us anything. To this day, Guyana never see a cent or hear who really buy we 20% shares we had in GT&T making money, Guyana. I hope you guys listening to facts, figures, and scientific analysis. Certainly not from a clown, but from Glen Lal's mouth. Let me also ask you this, Vice President Jagdeo. Where is the financial analysis, facts and figures for the gas to shore project you're pushing down people's throat at Wales? Could you give us that? Huh? Critic? You care to make that financial analysis public and not keep a little meeting where you can't take notes and record what you all saying? Those are some of the things you should sit down and address with facts and figures, Mr. Jagdeo. Not with that clown. As you continue to run, duck and hide from the mainstream media, Mr. Jagdeo, continue sitting down with that clown. We will take you on every moment you open your mouth there. You guys said 2 days ago how all the gas ExxonMobil will be pushing in your backyard. Is you guys said that all the gas you will be pushing in your backyard, you are going to sell for billions of US dollars. Where is the facts, Mr. Jagdeo? Where is the figures, Mr. Jagdeo? And where is the financial analysis on that? Is that Glen said that? You guys said that. Where is the financial facts, figures and analysis done for the new Demerara Harbour Bridge? Because the facts and figures became very clear in the Borby's Bridge deal. You're going to hear about that just now. Let's stick with the new bridge for now. You want to tell us that some Chinese man with a Chinese company coming to set up the new Demerara Harbour Bridge and we have to pay toll to them? That is what you want us to believe, Mr. Jagdeo? I don't believe that. And I would never believe that, Mr. Jagdeo, knowing your track record and how you guys operate, you and your friends hiding the background somewhere. Yeah, man. You and your friends, are you hiding the real facts in the background somewhere? You know why? Because you can't tell we 10 Guyanese company cannot come together to build a bridge for us to benefit. Nobody should buy into this Chinese connection. You guys ever see Bruce Lee, man? You ever see the Bruce Lee connection? Yeah. Bruce Lee was my favorite actor. Bruce Lee was a man who kick you 10 times before you open your eye. Yeah, man. Jagdeo, them better than that. He would slap you, kick you, cuff you, bite you like a vampire 10 times before you wake. And when some of y'all get up, y'all gonna maul them wrong the neck. That is what they have been doing to each and every one of us in this country. And you guys still running for maul these people. Then you have the same Jagdeo who was trying to push down the throat a hydro plant. Y'all remember? Every 3 months, that project price used to jump up in the hundreds of millions of US. Not couple million US, you know. Hundreds of millions of US. A matter of fact, Critic, I was told Critic went on his social media and talked my name again this morning and said Glen is the one who stopped that project many years ago. I am very proud, Critic. Very, very proud if I am the one who stopped it. Because let me tell you this, Critic, we would have been in a debt that your children would have been bawling by now. Now, he bringing it back, Critic. The same hydro plant he bringing back. At the same place, but with a different trick. You didn't hear me, Critic? With a different trick. When he was building it, in the first time, it went over $1 billion American dollars. And the government had to foot the bill. Me and you, Critic. Today, he said, one Chinese man a bill it. And it will cost less than 200 million. And how the Chinese man will supply we cheap electricity. Knowing your game and modus operandi, Mr. Jagdeo, this Raven Lunatic would respectfully like to say to you, I don't believe a single word on this project. I honestly believe it's another con game you're pulling on this country. Just like the Marriott, and just like the Skeldon, and just like the Borby's Bridge. We're going to come to them. Let me ask you this question, Mr. Jagdeo. If the Chinese man investing his money to supply electricity, why the country have to guarantee him a price tag? That's not how people run business, my friend. When you have done proper scientific analysis, with facts and figures, Mr. Jagdeo, anybody investing should be able to withstand a word called competition. It is happening all over the world. No poor country should be made to suffer with such oppressive agreements. Yes, the Berbice Bridge turned out to be very oppressive for the people of Berbice and all Guyanese. All because of a scheme you put together to guarantee the private investors who happen to be one of your best friends fat returns. Although the people of this country put in the hag of the money and crying every morning, crying noon and night about the tolls. Yes, that's what you did to the people. You have them crying Auntie now, all because of your private friend. I never forget how heartless you were, Mr. Jagdeo. When you remove the big boat Macaura and forced every vehicle to pay that ridiculous, oppressive toll you throw on the people of this country. To make it downright evil. Mr. Critic, hear this one. Mr. Jagdeo removed the speedboats from ferrying the school children, forcing them to pay the toll to cross the bridge, all for their selfish and greediness. Yeah, man. Force them school children, Mike, to use the bridge, pay the toll, find the money, beg their family overseas for send money just so them children go to school. That is scientific analysis based on facts with figures, Critic. And how much we pay for the demo average? $200. $200.
And you still get a speedboat, you pay $100 the cost.
Yes, and speedboat $100.
Why you can't get speedboat at the boat?
You don't want that. That bridge designed for them to rape the people of this country. And you call that what? You said Glen should bring facts and figures? Mr. Jagdeo, you call your clown critic. Call your clown critic and do another sit down and talk about this Raven Lunatic. You can call him. This time go with facts and figures. Don't bluff people. It ain't gonna work anymore. Your heart slip showing, brother. And just to remind you, we living in the 21st century with technology in which your kavakamites can't kerfuffle people anymore with your deceitful and deceiving ways. It ain't gonna work. Uncle, I have been asking for years now, for anybody, including Jagdeo, who was executive president for 12 years of this country. He was Ramatar handler for 4 years when he was president. And is now Ali Jacky. Yes. To name one single project. I ask everybody to name one single project or anything he, Jagdeo, can honestly and proudly tell this nation he has done that benefit the people of this country. Is Critic around? Or is he coming to the radio station tonight? Critic, I'm still waiting for you. You must tell me, or you must ask him that question. I'm talking about radio station, Critic. I wonder if you know, just before Jagdeo left office in 2011, what he did with the radio industry. You know, Critic? He gave his best friend, the same one who got the biggest share in the Berbice Bridge. What is the single largest private shareholder in the Berbice Bridge? He gave the best friend. With our own Guyana Times, Freedom House, and Robert Prasad's sister. Well, live in America, you know. 3 countrywide radio stations. And give a few others. County and village radio. You hear who they give the 3 countrywide, don't you? You want me to repeat it? His best friend, Freedom House, and Robert Prasad's sister will live in America. Yes. Man, that is facts and figures, uncle. You hear me? Disregard the biggest media houses in this country. The Starbuck News, the Kaieteur News, CNS Channel 6, WRHM, and the others. On the cable license, uncle, again, he gave his niece living in Florida one. His friends and party comrades in front of the main media, the mainstream media. You hear that? You hear who this man gift to? Yeah, man. He owned Guyana. He family and his friends own Guyana Critic and calling me a Raven Lunatic. This is not scientific analysis, Guyana. This is the giveaway of your assets that has a price tag to his family, friends, and party comrades. You know how much Jamaica sold their country cable license for at the time, Mr. Bernard?
No,
Huh?
No, sir.
Man, if you Google it, you're going to see it. Them put their cable license up for public auction, and they were able to sell it for 75 million American dollars. What Jagdeo get for Guyana cable license? Yes. Critic, you should ask him that. That's why y'all have to live in a stinking city. That's why y'all salary. That's why you can't raise the people's salary and give them a proper bonus. Yes. That's why roads can't construct or even patch. And that is facts with numbers, Mr. Vice President Jagdeo. Let me say this to that clown critic. I can't speak on the radio. The amount of things Jagdeo and many of the politicians, including the president, did to this country and its people, because they will sue me. You know, I already have 12 more cases from Winston Brasington in court. 7 or 8 finish, and he win about 40 million already from me, which of course I had to take a loan to pay off him. So I don't want to open myself up for the lawsuits. But if that clown and anybody else want to know what I can't say on the radio about them, call me on the phone and I will give you guys some horrific details of how they have taken you, every one of you in Guyana, for a ride and smiling every day. You can call me, man. I'm not afraid to speak on the phone. Or bring some people, let me tell you in your face, and you could tape me. Because I don't think they're going to work in court. The vice president, uncle, should tell this nation with his financial analysis and facts how he had Winston Brasington, the same man that sued me 19 times in one day, advertised a little building in the Sonata Complex at the Rheinveld for sale. Yes, he should bring the facts. And guess what, uncle? They end up giving away the entire Sonata Complex compound to his best friend for next to nothing. Yeah, man. Them advertised for sale a little building with some outdated thing inside, and they said, and I get no response. So Ramu come with a proposal and give them, and they accept them. Yes. Man, how can you ever forget these things? It rests on my heart, in which I will go to my grave with. They spent hundreds of millions, Miss Harris, to clean up and fix up the roads inside the Sonata Complex. Renovate the complex with our tax-paying dollars, man, and then give it away to the best friend for next to nothing. Man, I got to love Guyana, man. The West Rheinveld, hear this piece, man. Joshua, the West Rheinveld and Alexander Village and the neighboring communities, water well, is located inside that compound. And that too the man took over. It turned out that GWI had to turn around and maintain the well, even though it is privately owned by Jagdeo's best friend, in order for the citizens to continue to get water. Man, are you hearing me, man? Yes. Am I clear, man?
Yes, you are.
Thank you, brother. When GWI do find out, he wasn't paying a cent water rate. He had owed millions. Whether that was ever paid, only Jagdeo can tell us with facts and figures. Could you ask Critic to ask him for that information, please? Critic asked Mr. Jagdeo if he cared to tell the nation what analysis he did. When months after he became president of Guyana. Mr. Critic, please ask Mr. Jagdeo to tell the nation what analysis he did when he became president in August of 1999 and signed away GPC to his best friend for next to nothing. Uncle, that GPC used to bring in hundreds of millions. Which, you know what? You remember what? Limakal, man. Yes. With Guyana famous Limakal. Mr. Jagdeo cared to share the facts and figures he collected for the GPC. Huh? With us? Ask him also, Mr. Critic, why did he, after his best friend made the first down payment on the GPC, he went and revalued the property price and say his friend doesn't have to pay the original price. They reduce him. Oh my gosh. Hey, Uncle and Auntie, this is facts I'm telling you guys, with figures, Yeah, man. Allow him to pay a cheaper price. Wait, is he still next to you, Mr. Critic? Just in case he fall into a coma, wake him and ask him those questions for me, please. Just tell him the Raven Lunatic is asking some serious questions about his integrity, something the nation never know about. Ask him too if he cares to inform the nation how after his best friend acquired the GPC, that same best friend become the sole supplier to the Ministry of Health for a number of years. You care to tell the nation that nobody else was getting a bite of the drugs and medical supplies to the Ministry of Health, Mr. Jagdeo? Ask him, Critic. Ask him if his facts and figures is different from the Auditor General's report 2 days ago, Uncle. 2 days ago, in which the man said his best friend alone got $4 billion drug contract when 33 other suppliers get $4 billion. You want more facts, Critic? You want more figures and analysis, Critic? Kaieteur News reported that story on New Year's Day. One man get $4 billion, his friend, and 33 other people get $4 billion. It's not Glen said that. Those figures came from the Auditor General's report 2 days ago. My heart bleeds for you people, for those things Jagdeo, Ashni Singh, and Brasington has done to this country. He said in that interview, Uncle, how Glen is upset that the government give 1 month bonus to some public servants. My God. Vice President, I am not upset. I am damn upset because the wealth that the Guyanese people have, they should have already been getting a fat check every month for not doing a single work. Every day, year go, year come. All of you guys announcing what this country find. Yes, every day. That has been a mantra in our head. You guys really understand when you make these announcements what it means for Guyana or the Guyanese people? Mr. Jagdeo, Mr. Ali, Mr. Ashley Singh, and Mr. Harmon, are you really understand these announcements where you're all pushing your mouth into? You guys have said ExxonMobil find over 9 billion barrels of oil reserve in a little piece of the Stabroek block. And every few mornings is more discoveries of billions of barrels of oil reserves. Just today, Uncle, today, Wednesday, ExxonMobil announced 2 more big oil finds from 2 different oil wells in the same Stabroek block. And our leaders was too happy to announce that to the nation. Them announcing how much wealth them will fetch out from your country, and we leaders are proud to tell us how much they find. Uncle, I don't think you guys understand what I'm saying. These people boasting upon your wealth, how much they will fetch away, and you shaking your foot and smiling in your amok about that. Eh?
Bunch of fool.
Eh?
Big bunch of fool.
You leaders happy to announce that. Big and bold.
Where you get in?
Listen this one, man. Today, them own newspapers, the Guyana Times, lead story, what Jagdeo best friend own, said, oh my, just discovered 1.6 million ounces of gold in Weeback Dam on our land, in my country called Guyana. That gold fine money they're boasting about fetching out of Guyana, Uncle, far exceeds what this whole country owe. The debt we owe by a clean billion American dollars, because we only owe $2 billion. And they find $3 billion American dollar worth in gold. What they're boasting about. You hear that? Oh my, find gold. $3 billion gold.
Yes, $3 billion US.
And Jagdeo's best friend newspaper got that as a lead story today, man.
And
Proud to say that.
they're giving it away to foreigners.
Yeah, man.
Guyanese are minors.
Man, you guys understand the kind of facts and figures these leaders happy to announce to us? Eh?
You're not going to get even 10%.
That is gold alone, Uncle. Imagine the hundreds of billions of American dollars them are already fetching out in our oil. Our leaders proud to announce what these foreign people finding in our country in the billions and saying Glen Lal is upset that some of you getting 1 month bonus. The next thing, they're going to say Glen Lal will be upset for y'all living like animals, buying dog food from the Chinese restaurant and begging them to put fork in the box. That is the next thing y'all going to hear they're saying. Glen Lal will be upset for that soon. I have been trying, Uncle, for the longest while, Auntie, to wrap my head around the things these leaders doing and saying, or the mantra they're preaching every day, just to get an understanding. If they actually understand what they're saying and preaching, somebody gotta help me. Some vendor, some person, anybody with an ounce of brain gotta help me here. I think I gotta call Critic, because the man got a little understanding of business, of what is going on in this country. He's a smart man, you know, Critic. Or so I think. Man, Miss Harris, Bernard, Uncle and Auntie, can you imagine your daddy coming home every day for the last 20 years and reporting to the house how much gold your neighbor find in your backyard? The neighbor build mansions, buy fleets of luxurious vehicles, living like kings and queens, and your old house remains the same. You struggling to feed your family, riding the same old bicycle, and you daddy announcing every year how much gold the neighbor find in your backyard. Eh? Eh, Joshua? What a beautiful country this is, man. With marvelous scientific businessmen and women running this land. Calling Glen a Raven Lunatic. And when the children of the house, uncle, complain, meaning when the citizens of this country complain about not getting proper shoes or uniform to go to school, or biscuit for putting a lunch kit, or get money for pay bus fare, daddy say, we ain't getting enough money for that. He said you gotta live within your means for quite a while into the future. But the poor children don't know that the daddy is lying in bed with a neighbor, getting your own sweetness and satisfaction while the family suffer. You hear that?
Yes.
Yeah, man. Isn't this the exact thing that Guyana has been facing for the last 30 years, Critic? Yeah. You yourself went on a program and tell the world you couldn't afford to drink tea. You used to get it at Kaieteur News every morning. Here's what happened now. Like you jump in bed drinking Milo with Jagdeo. You're still my friend. You can always come and have a cup of tea. Because Uncle Glen got a big heart. Yeah, man. Uncle, Mr. Jagdeo went on to tell Critic how we ain't even start yet. We not getting the aisle money yet. But Glen Lal believe money will fall from the sky and the street come pave with that money. Oh, I pity selfish, greedy and corrupt people and the fools who choose to follow them. Sorry, guys. I just got to tell you that. Jagdeo, Miss Harris, in his interview, encouraged people to come on my webpage and point out facts. Encourage them not to be abusive, which was nice, but to correct the issue with facts. I had to smile when I heard that. That is something I have been begging you and the entire government plus the opposition, and now the whole country I am begging, to come on the radio and dispute any single thing that I have said wrong that is not factual. Buddy, come on, man. I am begging you guys. If you don't want to come, I went so far to tell you guys to find people. Send your people to come defend your position. I am always happy, and I would always be happy when you guys send people to my site. I will be looking out for them, man. I'm waiting, right? Because I like when people can correct me. When they correct me, I can correct myself on the radio. But nobody has ever said a single word, including you, Jagdeo, or a sentence that Glen Lal have said. One going on to 1 year and 2 months, every 3 times a week on this radio, on this radio. 1 hour and change. Nobody has ever pointed out a single wrong or something that I mislead the country with. Huh? I'll be waiting for you too, just in case you decide to grow a pair and change your mind. That's a British slang. Grow a pair. You went to England. You know what that means. I spent 3 weeks one time in Croydon. You can come on the program and counteract me. Or tell the nation. Or let's talk. With facts and figures. Listen, man. Anybody is free to comment on my page, Critic. Why did you block the comments on your page? Can you tell the nation? What are you ashamed of or afraid of? People's comments? When you're factual, my friend, with figures, you don't have to be afraid. I was never afraid to speak my mind because that's how I have lived my life, with truth, honesty, and decency. Not a soul can address me as a dishonest person. Or anybody could say that Glen Lal ever lied to them. No, I have never, Mr. Critic. You hear that? Not even Jagdeo or any politicians can say Glen Lal deceiving or deceitful. Jagdeo lies, though. Mr. Bernard, you never hear this one. Our vice president lies in every sentence. He does not tell the truth and intentionally deceive this nation at every chance, every level he gets. You want to tell me when he held that press conference on the Gas to Shore project and tell the press don't record him or take notes, he was being honest and open to this nation? Eh? Miss Harris? Was he being honest? Huh? The biggest project this region will ever see, Guyana. Yes, the biggest project. Not only for Guyana, but for the region. And this man telling the press don't record it. A year done, and he has not held a press conference to tell us anything on the project. Wait, man. Uncle and Auntie, you guys got to take firewood to see in the night what you can see so clear in broad daylight. Huh? Mr. Critic, you still looking out for your children's future? You said that to me. You said that to me, you know. And I always remember you said, Glen, me got to look out for my children's future, you know. Well, let me tell you this, Critic. I wish you well. But I hear you say, I will get what coming to me. Like you're threatening me. You know, Critic, all of us will have to accept what comes to us. Hope you can handle what is coming your way. It's just a matter of time. That man above is a fair and fearless man. And I love him. And I trust in him. What about you and your sidekick, Jagdeo? I wonder how y'all is be watching over y'all's shoulders. Eh? I don't. I never watch over my shoulder. Well, let's get going. I have more time, boy? Let me end by telling you guys this Bai Shenlin story. Bai Shenlin is another Chinese connection. If it wasn't for the coalition that went in and put a brakes on them, by now every Guyanese would have already had a Chinese name. I would have named Glen Lin or Glen Young. Joshua would have named Josh Lee, and Miss Harris would have been Harris Sulin. Yeah, man. These people were already in control, Guyana. Yes. These Chinese people, Bai Shenlin, was already in control of half of Guyana's forests and was on a roll renting out the small private people concessions, emptying it overnight and throw a little change at them. The speed they were going with, Bernard. Man, by now I a goat and I a cow. You hear me? Want to have grass to eat. Yeah, man. As to the concessions they control openly, man, you have to see what it did with our forests. I chartered a helicopter and went in there myself to see what was going on, because I couldn't believe the reports when I first started hearing what they were doing with our wealth in the wee hours of the morning, like kick down door bandits. What Guyana got? Our citizens still going in the Chinese restaurant, begging for dog food with a fork in the box. That is what Guyana got from those Chinese. You hear me, Critic? The oil contract, Critic, has a clause to change. Ask your vice president who heading the oil sector why he's not asking ExxonMobil for a renegotiation to have the contract change. And it says clearly if both parties agree. Let me read this piece for you, man. This is the contract I'm reading. Word for word. This agreement shall not be amended or modified in any respect except by written agreement entered into by all the parties, which shall state the date upon which the amendment or modification shall become effective. You hear that? Man, Bernard, you don't hear this piece, man. The agreement shall not be amended or modified in any respect except by written agreement entered into by all the parties, which shall state the date upon which the amendment or modification shall become effective. What that tells you, uncle? Negotiation is more than possible. Change oil contract is there, uncle and auntie. But the man who is heading the sector, your king, your financial guru, Bharat Jagdeo, is not saying a word. And your president is following him by the footstep, including the opposition leader. Did I say Happy New Year? I did not on Monday. But I love to tell you guys Happy New Year. May this new year bring some kind of peace, joy, and happiness in your life. I don't know what will be there for me. But let me say God bless and have a great evening. I'll take some of your calls and your
Recording for